What's up, chat? My name's Jila Hokage, and welcome back to another episode of Raw Review, the show where I tell you my opinions and you tell me to shut the fuck up in the comment section. Today's a different Monday Night Raw, if I'm being honest. It was a different Monday night for me. I didn't watch Raw live. I fell asleep, so I woke up halfway through the main event match, which was Logan Paul versus Rey Mysterio. But I can tell you what happened, and I do know what happened. I went back and watched the highlights of the show and watched the promos. Didn't watch all the matches, but I watched most of them. And yeah, I can say it was a pretty good Raw. It wasn't as good as last week's Raw. I honestly liked last week's Raw more, but I digress. I'm gonna get into what happened. First, we opened the show with Jey Uso, and after getting the shit beat out of him by Gunther, he chose his opponent for WrestleMania, which, surprise, surprise, he chose Gunther. And I think this is a really good decision. Overall, as I said, I wasn't too satisfied with Jey Uso winning the Rumble, and it seems, based off of the reports by Jey Uso himself, that he didn't even know he was winning until the day of. So I don't know if this was the plan the entire time, leading up to the Rumble. But if they're gonna go in any direction, I do believe the Gunther direction is the right way. And I'm seated. I'm ready to see what they create and what storytelling they do. I just hope to God at Mania they have a good match, or else, Hunter will never hear the end of it. Just a quick little side note. I don't know if the show's in exact order because I'm going off of the way I wrote it down in my notes, which is different from how it happened live on TV because, as I said, I didn't see it live. Just a heads up. Next thing that I have in my notes is AJ Styles and Dominic Mysterio. So AJ Styles finally made his return to Monday Night Raw, and I'm happy. I'm really glad that he has his old theme back. I wasn't a fan of his new theme that he spent like half a year with, but I'm glad that the phenomenal one is back. And Dominic Mysterio interrupted him, and Dom did the Judgment Day runs Monday Night Raw stick, and it ended in a brawl because AJ said, "You're nothing but Rey Mysterio's bitch ass kid," and Dom could not take the heat, so he started beating the shit out of AJ Styles. And to be honest, that didn't really get him anywhere because all it got him was a face full of forearms. So, maybe don't attack OGs, mega unks that know this business, that know what they doing. One thing that I want to point out is that Michael Cole mentioned AJ Styles' accomplishments in TNA, and I think that is really fucking cool. AJ Styles is a TNA legend, and I think that his history with the company finally being acknowledged on WWE television is a great step in making WWE feel less isolated and introducing WWE fans to other kinds of wrestling. Because a thing that you see with WWE fans a lot is that they only like watching WWE, which there's nothing wrong with that, but there's so many different flavors and styles and kinds of wrestling out there, and most of the people that they view as legends or new hires that they've never heard of came from these other places and went on legendary runs. The Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa are huge in New Japan, and they were an integral part of the Bullet Club. So was AJ Styles, so was Finn Balor, so was Cody Rhodes. I think it'd be great for WWE fans to be introduced to that more. The more and more we keep mentioning them on commentary, the more and more we keep mentioning these people's past, the more we get them interested in wrestling as a whole and not just WWE, which I think overall will be a positive for them in the long run. The next thing I have in my notes, and I kid you not, this is literally what it says. It says Judgment Day explodes. So we get a backstage segment with Finn Balor, Liv Morgan, and Dominic Mysterio and Carlito after Liv Morgan's match, which I'll talk about later. And Finn Balor is basically like, "Hey, why'd you do that? You look pretty busted up." And he's like, "You should have listened to Finn. Finn can lead Judgment Day. Finn will lead us to the promised land." And Dom is like, "I think we need a new member because we're really running thin around here." And this is post getting his ass kicked by AJ Styles. So it would have helped to have somebody else out there because Finn isn't really contributing as much as he would like to, or as much as everybody else would like him to. And it kind of feels like they're kind of just moving Finn away from the Judgment Day slowly but surely. And like I said before, I'm excited to see what direction they take it in, but what does this mean for Finn Balor in the long run? Is this finally going to give us a Finn Balor singles push in a world title run, or is this going to be another mid-card Finn Balor run? Yeah, that's really my only concerns. But if the Judgment Day implodes, I hope that they don't like fully dissolve. I hope it turns into a different faction. I think they should stop using the name Judgment Day, because I think at this point they're no longer the Judgment Day. Going back to talking about AJ Styles, he had a little face-off with Braun Breaker, and I can personally say for myself that my interest levels in this feud, a feud between him and Braun Breaker, are through the roof. I cannot like fathom the kind of match they would put on, because Braun Breaker is such a physical specimen. He's such a fucking demon, and this is not even talking about his wrestling ability. Like, we're just talking about the way he looks. He looks like a fucking genetic freak, and it's because he's a Steiner. But his wrestling ability trumps that of his genetics. Like, he is a demon in the ring, and I cannot wait to see what him and AJ can put together. But the next thing in my notes I have is Damage Control versus Judgment Day in a tag team match. So Io and Dakota, who's recently coming off of injury, and Raquel and Liv. And Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez end up barely scraping away and losing. But overall, I think Io and Liv are like wrestling soulmates. Like, whenever they're in the ring together, they just make magic. And I'm kind of sad that Liv dropped the title, because I think if Io versus Liv was the move for Mania, I wouldn't be upset at all. In fact, I'd be way more appreciative, especially because at the same time I'm being force-fed Charlotte, and I don't know how much more of her I can take. I hope she just gets the shit beat out of her at Mania and doesn't come back. You know, she can keep the check, she can keep collecting the check from the bed, but like, I don't need you on my TV screen anymore. We've outgrown you. But I've said that so many times over the last week, it doesn't matter if I say it anymore. Yeah, the match was really great. It was great to see Dakota back. It was nice to see Dakota wrestle people that aren't the Pure Fusion Collective. I'm not a big fan of the Pure Fusion Collective. I'm not happy that they fired Sonya Deville, but I'm just like, why keep shoving them in our face if you're not going to give them TV time to develop their characters? I think Zoe Stark has been shoved in my face more over the past 2 years than I would have liked to. I think there's so many other women in the division that could have used the time that she got, but instead they're giving it to her. Shayna Baszler doesn't need that much TV time because she's an established monster. We know what Shayna's going to do every time she comes up, and we know that she means business. I don't understand what Sonya Deville was or what she is. She was a manager for them, and then she started wrestling, and when she started wrestling, I kind of just wasn't fucking with her. I'm not gonna lie to you. At first I thought it was ring rust, but it was mad long. Like, the rust lasted long. Like, I thought she was gonna defrost at some point. She just never defrosted. Maybe that was just my rose tinted glasses coming off though, and me understanding or just realizing that I never really liked Sonya Deville that much in the first place. But things move on and people grow, so it doesn't matter how I feel about her. The next thing I have in my notes was Lyra versus Bayley, and I don't understand why they're putting the women's mid-card titles in these qualifying matches when they introduce mid-card titles so they can have a damn mid-card. And why are we trying to put them in the main event scene? You have enough women to, you know, spread throughout the fucking divisions, so why not actually have fucking divisions? But it was a great match. Lyra and Bayley never disappoint. Lyra Valkyria is a wrestler that has surprised me over the past year and a half. I wasn't really the biggest fan of her when she beat Becky in NXT, but that's because I didn't know who she was. But after spending the last year with her and watching her grow on the main roster, I'm thoroughly enthralled and ready for whatever she does. I know she's gonna, you know, eclipse what Becky's done and, you know, become a top woman star in the division. But she ended up losing to Bayley, and Bayley ended up qualifying for the Elimination Chamber. And it just seems like the Elimination Chamber is just all-star matches, man. It just feels like the all-star game, but for wrestling. And it looks to be the move for Rhea Ripley for WrestleMania is Liv Morgan. And I just don't understand why Hunter insists on dragging this feud out as long as possible. It's almost been a full calendar year at this point, and at first I was excited for it, but the way the feud played out and how they involved Damian and how they made it about the Terror Twins and not really building up the Judgment Day, as well as not really building up Liv Morgan to be a high caliber champion. They put all this effort into introducing Raquel and, you know, trying and attempting to build her up as this like maniacal heel, but when it came down to it, she didn't really do anything substantial against Rhea. Yes, she got the win at SummerSlam, but what did that win do when Rhea beat her every single time after that? So that's just my issue. And it also feels like Triple H is like, here nigga damn when it comes to Io versus Rhea, because that was the other alternative that people were asking for, and they booked that match for the Raw after Elimination Chamber. So no matter what, I believe Rhea is carrying this title to Mania. But if she doesn't and Liv wins Chamber and Io beats Rhea on the Raw after Chamber, and we get Io versus Liv Morgan at the grandest stage of them all, I will be fed, I will be seated, I will be giddy, I will be excited. If Hunter does that, man, I'll never complain again. I will have no reason to complain, because that is such a good match, and that could be such a good match on the grandest stage of them all. I feel like that could really build up Io Sky, and it could really build up Liv Morgan and put them up in that upper echelon of women in WWE. Overall, I do believe that the tag match is good. I think Rhea and Liv could be okay. I really want Liv versus Io, and I really hope that that is the move, because I don't see any other woman winning the Chamber. I don't think there's like a lot of viable options or great stories to tell when it comes to that. The next thing I have in my notes is CM Punk and Logan Paul. Now, CM Punk cut a promo and was basically talking about his Elimination Chamber win and talking about how he's going to make it to Mania, giving his normal usual spiel he's been giving over the past 6 months in regards to WrestleMania in Vegas, because him not being able to be at Mania last year really had a toll on him in kayfabe. So yeah, he did that little promo and Logan Paul interrupted him. And there was a really funny moment where Punk didn't even recognize whose music it was, because Logan Paul got a new theme, and it's shit as always. Logan Paul's themes haven't been that good, but you know, it's also a Def Rebel theme, so there's not a lot of things going for him. I'm not really the biggest fan of Logan Paul, but yeah, they basically had a little promo battle, and Logan was like, oh, I'm gonna put you down. You know, he gave this like social media influencer promo. He was like, yeah, I'm gonna make you famous. I'm gonna make your 15 minutes of fame. And they were talking about how he eliminated him in the Rumble and shit. And I'm just not interested in the Logan Paul program in 2025. I have no interest for him. I have no want or need to see him on my screen. But that led directly into the main event. But I'm gonna pivot and talk about the stuff I haven't talked about yet. So the next thing I have in my notes is the War Raiders versus American Made. And the War Raiders won via DQ. American Made cheated, and I think they're doing a really good job at the comedic heel role. I do believe that American Made as a faction, they're filled with great freakish athlete wrestlers, like all of them individually can go so far on their own, but I'm really glad to see their shine character wise. Like, I'm a really big storytelling guy, and I really like the character work when it comes to that and the dynamics of American Made. I'm interested and excited to see where Triple H goes with Chad Gable, where Gable is going when it comes to where Dom sent him off to. The streets are saying that he's going to AAA, and if Chad Gable shows up in AAA, I will be like honestly dumbfounded, because a AAA collaboration in 2025 with WWE would be ludicrous, because that means there's room for AEW wrestlers to wrestle WWE wrestlers on AAA television, because AAA frequently collaborates with AEW. So yeah, I'm overall really excited for that. I'm enjoyed the match. You know, they want to be a DQ, but you know, it happens. Shit happens. They'll probably win the titles off the War Raiders at some point. I hope it's at Mania. I hope the tag titles are defended at Mania. If they're not, I'm gonna be really disappointed. But yeah, the next thing in my notes is Logue Shit versus Rey Mysterio. That's what I called Logan Paul in my notes. It's pretty funny. That match was okay. I'm not interested in Logan Paul at all. I was half awake, and I really think that Logan Paul should like not wrestle in the WWE anymore. He's a great athlete, don't get me wrong, but he's just walking bad PR for them. I think at this point he's more of a liability, and he's just not entertaining, at least as entertaining as he was before. But he ended up winning. It was an Elimination Chamber qualifier match, so Paul's going to be in the Chamber, but we know he's not going to win the Chamber because he has a fucking boxing match with his brother. So it all means nothing. It's like meaningless. It kind of ruined the story in a way, but it happens. The next thing in my notes is Seth and Finn face off, because apparently they have a Chamber qualifying match next week. And wow, I think that this match is going to be a godsend. I think it's going to be an amazing show of how good Finn Balor really is and how good Seth Rollins still is. And I do believe that Seth Rollins is going to win, because it's looking like CM Punk is going to have to fight all of his evil exes to make it to WrestleMania. But yeah, that's it. I think I covered everything. Overall, this is a pretty quick episode. It was quick because I didn't really watch the show live, so I didn't form as many opinions as I would have normally. But I do appreciate you for watching anyways. I'll be back with a double upload tomorrow because I promised something on Saturday or Sunday and I'm working on it still. So yeah, I appreciate you for watching. Thank you, and I am out of here.